Hey everybody, welcome to the confines of my car. I'm actually trying to take advantage of some time here. I have been waiting with my daughter. I'm picking up. She came with to visit her brother in Boston. Anyway, um, so this will be a video again made for Monday. Okay, so Monday is the deadline for the feature news story. Um, so anyway, just remember that it'll be due at the end of the day. And what I did was actually on Saturday, I actually provided an example. Somebody submitted theirs early enough so that I provided an example of a feature story that I felt that worked. Okay. So let's go to that right now. Okay. And I'm sorry. Spot right here. Here we go. Well, that's not it either. Sorry about that. Um, Anyway, I sent it out as an announcement and also as an email. Okay. So let's see here. I'm just calling out the announcements here and working on a hotspot sample feature story that worked. Okay. Congratulations, Richard. I'm doing a very good job on this. Okay. This also just shows the example of Richard basically came to me and he wanted to basically improve what he was doing. And, we worked together and we got there. So, I've had people ask me, about class participation and class participation to me, that's 30% of your grade. I mean, that's to me basically participating in things like discussion. You don't have an opportunity to do a lot of that. So you participate in things like discussion questions. You participate in things like, I could tell you're watching the videos, because again, I've actually put things on videos and just almost giving away hints to stories or stuff like that. And I've kind of expected to see people actually produce in the same way. And when I haven't, I've noticed, I could tell you probably haven't been watching those videos or that video at least. So, um, but also doing the types of things like class participation. I'm going to get into grading a bit too, because actually there's a little bit of a discrepancy between what ultimately happened in our class and what I said on the syllabus. But anyway, this is a feature story that worked. Okay. As I described before, basically you have a lead that's now several paragraphs long. Okay. And it's composed of essentially teases. Okay. Teases that give people some idea like what's going to be happening with the story. Okay. But not everything. Okay. The idea is to kind of provide some sort of maybe gripping, suspenseful detail or something, teasing you into the story to get you to read it. Okay. And I know it's a story about the weather, but who knows what might be happening, so we have Marlon DeMeo, a junior at Rutgers, should be lowercase, junior at Rutgers, stepped outside to catch a ride with his friends to class, avoiding the cramped buses during COVID. Noticing he could hold his own breath, there's some description I talked about. It's adding a little bit of description. I'm not talking about a lot, like a little bit. Basically, something that basically is, shows a little bit of something that we can see, okay, beyond just the spoken word, but just, what's maybe hanging in the room, what's, coming out of his mouth, we can see his breath. What do the trees look like? Just maybe adding in, sprinkling in some like descriptive details helps a story like this, okay? See his own breath through his mask. Very nice. This actually has a kind of a weather and COVID angle to it, so this actually all works. As he checked his phone, it was November 1st, 39 degrees. Now you have another tease. Shivering in his shorts, he pulled a sweatshirt out of his bag and wrapped himself up. Just one day before, it was 67 degrees, and many were wearing shorts and short sleeves on campus, should be all the case. Okay, so showing the contrast there. So again, we don't have necessarily a definitive graph. It tells people what to do, what's the story's all about, but basically we're giving people an idea. Like this is probably something that's going to be engaging to read. It could be dramatic. It may be something that maybe they just can relate to. Okay. So we're going to bring in like elements of things that maybe people can connect to and relate to. Okay. DeMeo, in awe of how fast the weather had changed, looked around and saw the beautiful array of colors on the trees. And I added like a little note of description right there, just like this. He looked around, he saw the array of color on the trees. It's beautiful reds and orange dressing the trees. I wish I could have appreciated it more, but I was freezing to death. And then you have the nut graph. And then this works very much like the the traditional news leads and the hard news stories, okay, but it's lower. It's a little more informal, okay, but it basically sums everything up. The nut graph, the change of seasons during COVID has many feeling mixed emotions. There's that phrase again. They say this give people like this gives people an idea like how people feel overall. The people, basically. All right. Some individuals appreciate the beautiful scenery and the nuances the winter brings, while some dislike it and the weather is uncomfortable. I should say the days are much shorter. Okay. All right. So then you got to transition the first point to be made. I could have worded a little bit better right there. I should fix that. Claudia Pizarro, a Walmart store manager, faces many difficulties due to the change in weather. Pizarro is a mother of four as well as the head of manager of Walmart. Okay, so this is the first transition. It talks about the difficulties people have when the weather like changes like this. And then we get into what I've talked about as an anecdote, basically some sort of experience or observation that connects to this point. This is the overall point of difficulties, weather, COVID, okay? Our days begin with adversity and continues. As being the store manager means maintaining safety during the change of seasons. Pizarro explained labor shortages from COVID as well as people not wanting jobs during the cold makes her daily routine much harder, okay? And she also talks about how, like, basically there's like certain things we have to deal with, like reduce staff, we have to basically protect people as they're dealing with like things like slippery sidewalks, stuff like that, okay? Another transition down here, and then you have a quote, okay? Another transition down here, Alexis Summers, Electra Senior and Chevrolet sales representatives, loves the holidays but hates the weather. Kind of a mixed feeling there. Summers prepares for holidays, decorating her house and organizing seasonal parties with family and friends. She was concerned about the flu, increased awareness about the availability of COVID vaccines put her at ease. So she actually like isn't great about the weather, but she feels a little bit better about it because the availability of COVID vaccine. So this is again, anecdotal information, like a personal observation, some sort, experiences, whatever, okay? And put the whole story in here, just enough, okay? All right, so that's basically a good example, probably a story, okay? Feature story, probably could use a little bit of rewarding in some of those places I missed. All right. Let me also talk about, like, somebody asked me a good question, and that was the grading. So let me go into that a bit, okay? All right, so all right, so let's go to this, okay? Like my little whiteboard here, all right? So on the syllabus, I said we're probably gonna have 7 assignments, but we ended up having 6, okay? And basically the feature assignment is actually your 5th assignment, and the major assignment will be the last assignment. That'll be the 6th assignment. So we fell one short. This is not unusual. This is what I do sometimes. I feel like we've kind of reached actually a point in the semester where I feel like most people are actually really like on track, to being successful, to writing successfully, to doing the things I basically had asked for, okay? You might remember that actually what I said was, I grade based on progress, and your last assignments count more than your first assignments, okay? What I said before was when I said there were 7, I said that basically the first 4 counted once, okay? And then I would say 5 and 6, okay? Count twice of each of those first ones, okay? And then the 7th being the major assignment counts 4 times, okay, what the first ones were, okay? Well, since we only did 6, okay, that means that the first 4 will still count once a piece, okay? I'll explain what that means, okay? The 5th one, which is a feature assignment, will count twice of the previous assignments. In other words, the 4th assignment counted once, the 5th assignment will count twice that, okay? Feature assignment, okay? And then the 6th assignment will count 4 times, okay? 4 times of what each of the first 4 counted, okay? So what does that mean? So if you have like 4 assignments that count once, right? So that's 4, right? The 5th assignment counts twice, so that's 6, okay? All right. And then the final assignment counts 4 times. So that's 4, okay? All right, so basically what you have is essentially you have, that's how things are divided. This is the first 4 assignments that count 4 times. The 5th assignment will count twice, and the last assignment counts 4. So what does that add up to? 10, okay? I don't know if you're gonna get all this, but that's fine. It basically means that your grade is gonna be divided, you know, let's look at 100, divided 10 ways, okay? 10 equals 10. So basically what you have is this. It means that essentially the first 4 assignments were 10% of your grade, okay? First one was 10%. Trying to go through the whole process here. 10%, 10%, 10%, okay? This feature assignment will be twice that, so that counts 20% of your grade, okay? And then the last assignment is 4 times that, so that'll be 40% of your grade. I'm sorry, that's 40%. This is actually of the of the writing part of the writing and assignment portion, okay? Which is 70% of your overall grade, okay? Just so you know. So that's all within the 70%, okay? And then you have on top of that class participation, okay? You know, it's also 30% of your overall grade, okay? So this is how much it is within that 70%, okay? First assignment, second assignment, third assignment, fourth assignment, fifth assignment, sixth assignment, okay? If you have any additional questions, let me know about that. I know it's a little confusing, but all right. All right. So talked about the feature assignment. I want to talk a little bit about the Megalomania assignment because you have those back now. The rewrite will be due on November 22nd. So basically we have a story, again, that's based on a larger story, based on an actual happening. As I talked about to each of you, I mean, I think everybody understands by now, you should have seen the videos, okay? You should have. That basically the story is about Bronson quitting, okay? All right. You really need to say and why in very, you know, shortly phrased way in the lead, okay? But that is basically what the story is about, okay? And you really need to have attribution according to the company, okay? I have people, again, who, I've said this in the earlier videos, who said, like, asked to quit. Okay, well, he was asked to quit. You're right. And that could be mentioned in the story, certainly, but that's not the biggest, newest thing that happened. The biggest, newest thing happened is he actually did quit. Okay, because if he's asked to quit, he could stay and then nothing changes, right? But if he quits, everything changes, okay? So that needs to be in there. The restructuring needs to be down. It can be in the story, but it needs to really be down low in the story. And then after that, we need to go into, according to the voucher, you need to have that information from the voucher. And I would go into some of those details we've had that basically, you know, went into, you know, some of the crazy stuff that happened, like a statue of Peace Vodka. I have to admit, that's crazy. I know it's a little disgusting, but it's just, it's crazy, right? So that's one of the things, okay? You know, there's the dog fighting and all that stuff. This is a story that actually I thought worked pretty well, even though the lead was a bit long. Marv Bronson resigned on Thursday, October 28th, during a corporate fight, could just said for violating the code of conduct after attempting to bill the company $3 million expenses related to his wife. Okay. You know, this quote's fine right here, basically kind of casts the problematic nature of this whole situation. And then the bad stuff he did that actually led to that, the stuff he spent money on, which makes this more than a resignation story. He hired, this is the only thing I asked for in this story. It's a B+ story. I was asking that basically some more details be added because I think that's actually what that separates this from your ordinary resignation story. Okay, so, all right. Let's go into a little bit about like where this all came from, as I promised you. Okay, so this is based on a guy by the name of Dennis Kozlowski. He was a, I should tell you, by the way, before I show this video, I may actually have to pause this and move to a different location because my train will be coming soon. So I want to make sure I don't miss that. But just in case, I'll get this in before that happens. Anyway, so this Dennis Kozlowski, he was a person who didn't do everything exactly according to what happened with the Megalomania CEO, Marv Bronson, but was very similar. And he actually did go to jail, but he did some things that were very similar. And of course, there was the wife's birthday party and everything else. And it was featured on 60 Minutes, see, about 13 years ago. Okay, so here we go.
And even bigger time prison sentences. A year ago or so, the air was thick with tales of corporate scandal, lost pension funds, big-time theft, and even bigger time prison sentences for the Enron gang. Then there was Dennis Kozlowski, CEO of Tyco, who was found guilty of, in effect, using Tyco's immense financial resources for what the prosecution described as his own personal piggy bank. You might remember the $6,000 shower curtain and stealing over $100 million from the company. Well, we wondered how the man who could whistle up a corporate jet on a whim or throw a $2 million birthday party was doing in his reduced circumstances. What's it like to go from king of the world to prisoner number 05A4820, serving 8 to 25 years behind bars? Once again, Dennis Kozlowski. We caught up with Dennis Kozlowski at Mid-State Correctional Facility in upstate New York.
How you doing? I'm doing okay.
Guests include murderers, drug dealers, and pedophiles.
And, just to kind of eliminate the whole point of like why, like the details of what happened is important. I mean, you'll see how they eliminate that in very emphatic ways. Why else would they feature this guy? He's obviously the definition of greed, and the definition of greed is what the stuff he did. So it wasn't just so much a matter of him going to jail and basically defrauding the company, but also, the things he did was what made this even more of a story, to the point where 60 Minutes could feature. You always want to try to expand your audience. You don't want to, I always tell people, like, yes, the business stories are always written for the business news sites, but the business writers always want to have their stories go beyond that. They want to have their stories also picked up by the New York Times and the Associated Press and that sort of thing. So that's when you try to hunt and fish for more. Okay, so you try to find the stuff like the scumbaggery stuff that he did. Okay.
Files and the odd multi-millionaire.
In my wildest imagination, when I would project myself into my late 50s and early 60s, where I would be or what I would be doing, if I make a list of 100 different places or 100 different things, here would never make that list.
He now earns $1 a day, mopping floors and slinging hash to his fellow inmates. In January, Kozlowski spent a week in hospital with a heart ailment and got to thinking. You've not talked publicly up till now. Why did you decide to do it?
When I was in the hospital in January, I was outside the emergency room feeling really uncomfortable, frightened. And that's when I really made the firm decision that I wanted to go through and talk to you at this time.
You became aware of your own mortality.
Very much so.
And you didn't want to leave this world
without at least an opportunity to talk about my side of the story to the extent that I can talk about it.
He agreed to speak with one stipulation, that we would not include anyone else in this story. Because of an appeal, he'll not discuss the details of his case, but he will say,
I believe in the judicial system. I think all that works. But in this case, the jury got it wrong.
That jury convicted him of 22 counts of grand larceny, conspiracy, and securities fraud. His trials occurred in the wake of a white-collar crime wave, Enron, WorldCom, and Martha Stewart. The news hound smelled blood, accused of looting his company of hundreds of millions of dollars and living the life of a pasha at stockholders' expense. He was the living, breathing version of Wall Street's Gordon Gekko. Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Up to a point. What's puzzling is, why does a man who struggled so hard, so effectively to make it, become so careless or stupid or arrogant? Born in a tenement on the wrong side of the tracks in Newark, New Jersey, Kozlowski worked his way through school.
I played guitar in a band. I worked in a pharmacy. I worked in a car wash. I had 2 or 3 jobs going at any given time.
Where you came from, there weren't that many options.
No. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey at the time, you never thought of yourself growing up to become a CEO.
You started at Tyco, then a small New Hampshire manufacturing company, as an accountant making $28,000 a year, and worked his way up to CEO. He became known as Deal-a-Day Dennis, constantly acquiring new companies and building Tyco from a $40 million company into a $40 billion conglomerate.
I would like to become all things equal, $100 billion company.
Wall Street could not get enough of the young, aggressive CEO. He also began making staggering amounts of money, among the top earning CEOs in the country.
We had a pay for performance culture at Tyco, so most of the money I earned was in the appreciation of Tyco stock.
1 year you made, I think, $170 million.
I'm not sure 170, but I made over 100 million. Yeah.
Well,
More money than you
10
could
million
possibly
here, 10
exactly.
million there, who cares? But what's it like to earn that kind of money?
It's a way of keeping score, I guess.
Keeping score meant keeping up with the masters of the universe. $30 million to build a mansion in Boca Raton, acquiring homes in Nantucket and Colorado, and just loose change $16 million for Endeavor, a vintage yacht. Wealth meant one thing, social acceptance another. He and his second wife, Karen Mayo, spent millions on painting. He joined the board of the Whitney Museum. For a pied-à-terre in New York, he had Tyco buy a $19 million apartment and decorated it with $11 million worth of stuff. The poor kid from Newark was stepping out on Fifth Avenue.
Here we go.
Would Dennis Kozlowski a few years ago even contemplate going to Europe to buy old master paintings?
No, absolutely not. It came with earning the amount of money I was earning at the time.
Was it your idea, or were you invited to join the board of the Whitney?
Oh, it was not my idea at all. I was invited to join the board, and I never made a board meeting.
So you were invited because they like having really rich guys on the board.
I assume it wasn't for my knowledge of art.
But it was art that would lead to his undoing. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office was investigating galleries that were helping customers avoid sales taxes. Kozlowski had purchased $13 million worth of paintings, including a Renoir and Monet, for the Tyco apartment. But prosecutors said he had some of them shipped to Tyco's offices in New Hampshire, a state without sales tax. They were then trucked back to New York. In 2002, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office indicted Kozlowski for evading over $1 million in sales tax, and he resigned as CEO. But that was only the beginning. The Tyco board investigated its CEO's behavior and made public a report that was devastating. Kozlowski's excesses were revealed in excruciating detail. Decorations for the New York apartment became classic tabloid headlines, mocking the CEO's taste and his greed. The $15,000 doggy umbrella stand, and the ultimate symbol of his downfall, that $6,000 shower curtain. The coverage was really punishing.
That was horrible.
As overblown as the coverage may have been, you signed off on those.
I signed off on a decorator to decorate the Tyco apartment. And beyond that, that was my involvement. The first time I heard about that shower curtain, the first time was after I was out of the company, and I read about it in a newspaper, and I was calling around asking, where's the shower curtain? But to this day, I wouldn't know it if it fell on me. So
Then there was
Here you go. Here it is.
the 40th birthday party for Kozlowski's wife, Karen, in Sardinia. It was togas galore. 4-day festival of flesh.
What's wrong?
Jimmy Buffett was flown in for the music, and guests were treated to a special cake, an anatomically correct woman with exploding breasts. The cost was over $2 million. Since Kozlowski claimed it was in part a work retreat, Tyco footed half the bill. Was it embarrassing for you, though, when they played that tape?
Oh, it was
This kind of Roman orgy going on.
horrible. It was over the top. I was taken aback by it, but I smiled and worked my way through it. Wanted the night to end as fast as I could.
Donald Trump called your behavior tacky.
Tacky. Tacky from Donald Trump?
From Donald Trump.
Oh, well, he would know. So.
Those excesses may have been tacky, but tacky doesn't send you to jail. Far more serious was
Long before he was president, by the way.
the allegation that Kozlowski literally stole money from Tyco. He and his second in command, Mark Swartz, were charged with stealing $170 million and pocketing an additional 430 million through the sale of company stock, while lying about Tyco's financial condition. The prosecution accused Kozlowski of granting himself unauthorized bonuses and running hundreds of millions of dollars worth of personal expenses through interest-free Tyco loan programs. No expense was too great or too small to run through Tyco. None of this, claims the prosecution, was authorized by the Tyco board, and the jury agreed. Guilty. But he's still fighting.
I am absolutely not guilty of the charges that were brought upon me. There was no criminal intent here. Nothing was hidden. There were no shredded documents. Nobody was told not to say anything. All the information the prosecutors got was directly off the books and records of the company.
In the trial, Kozlowski took the stand and testified that everything he did was authorized. He'd already repaid many of the loans and claimed he was simply an overworked executive who left the details for underlings to handle.
I was pushing the company and growing the company and pushing all aspects of it to continue to grow. I just don't think we put enough infrastructure in place to support some of that growth.
Yeah, but some of the lines got blurred. Some of the lines between what was your money, what was Tyco's money, became very fuzzy.
I think I did everything accordingly to the way the programs were outlined and the way it was done by my predecessors.
Was there a situation where the rules got lost?
Well, as I said, we're in appeal on this, and there's also civil litigation. So at this point in time, I think we're crossing the line here.
The Tyco board had given Kozlowski virtual carte blanche, and the one person Kozlowski said could clear it all up, the head of compensation, was dead. Whatever Kozlowski did, it was clear that the Tyco board was not exactly meticulous in carrying out its oversight. Even so, Kozlowski believes he was a dead duck from the start.
I was a guy sitting in court who made $100 million a year, and I think a juror sitting there just would have to say, all that money, he must have done something wrong. I think it's as simple as that.
Kozlowski says he was done in by bad timing, the Enron and WorldCom catastrophes. He feels that most people believe that's what happened to Tyco, that employees were left high and dry. But Tyco remains a thriving $60 billion company.
The company went on after I left there. The company is alive today. It's doing well.
Does it make you angry to be lumped in with guys like Tony Evers and Ken Lay?
That just frustrated me to no end. These are companies that had financial and accounting schemes that had major scams. That wasn't Tyco. This was a major pay dispute.
I think we've heard enough about that. I actually have to change locations, so I will actually pause recording and I'll resume another location. Hello, everybody again. So I'm waiting for the train to resume, the train to come back. So anyway, let's go back again to sharing screen. So basically, again, the idea there being that you can sell it has 60 minutes. Definitely, again, if they had not had the details of what he did, they would have actually just said, screw this. It's just another guy, as another piggy who went to jail, but he did a lot more than that. Okay. Okay, so just a reminder again that we'll be talking a little bit more in the coming weeks about the major assignment. Okay. Again, I basically dictated, or not dictated, but I basically accepted or tweaked whatever proposals people had. I mean, if you were following the modules, again, as you know, we don't have the data journalism assignment, but we will have this. If you want to see more of the details about it, you basically would go here. Here. That's what happens when you don't have very good internet. This assignment, you'll perfect the first draft of your assignment. To begin your review, your professor's notes on the first draft. Basically, it's really a good idea to show me your first draft on this assignment. We are coming up, toward the end of the semester now. We have Thanksgiving coming up and everything. So follow up with sources as necessary to get any additional information you need to make the story complete. Your story should use the inverted pyramid style. This is actually typical language that we've been using in our direction on this assignment. Again, actually, to be honest with you, I need to change some of this stuff, but let's actually go to the assignment portion where actually this stuff is actually little bit more exact, okay? Again, you would submit no, I'm sorry, I should be in student view. Oops. No, no. Student view. Okay. All right. So we have here the major assignment. I need to actually fix what's on there, but basically, again, you know, we've already done the topics. It's funny, I said November 15th, but actually, yeah, but these people, I have two people who still need to get topics to me, and they should be to me by November 15th. It should be Monday, okay? No matter what the topic, here's a description again, what's timely, again, focusing on different subjects, you know, whether it's the COVID vaccine or whatever, basically it needs to be updated. I mean, I had people talk about Hurricane Ida, and, you know, that's actually now been a couple months now, almost 3 months by the time this assignment's done, so. No anecdotal leads, please, just hard news leads, just keep it, that part of it simple, but again, you're gonna try to probably interview more people, maybe up to 6 or 7 or 8. I would say is because you're going to have it twice as long as the assignment you have passed. And that's the big difference right there, is the assignment would be twice as long. Okay, so maybe 6, 7, or 8 people to actually back up your topic would be a good idea. Okay, we'll be talking more about that next week. Anyway, so that's really it, guys. So let me know if you need anything else, and I will be talking to you. Thanks very much.